I like to live a life with no regrets, and thankfully I have none, with just one exception. There are important money lessons that I wish I had known in my 20s that helped me completely transform my financial situation in my 30s and made my life so much easier. I'm going to share these important frugal lessons with you so that you can build wealth regardless of your income. First of all, lots of money does not equal financial security. Let's be honest, whoever said that money can't buy happiness was probably pretty well off. Money is a little bit like oxygen, in that it doesn't really matter until you don't have any of it. That being said, your financial security does not wholly depend on the number of zeros at the end of your salary. It is very much dependent on your attitude towards money. Whether money to you means more stuff or building financial security can make a huge difference when it comes to you building wealth. You could go from making 20k a year to 150k a year and still not be financially secure if you are spending everything that you earn. If you're earning more in order to buy more stuff, this can lead to poor financial decisions, such as allowing lifestyle creep to kick in and eating up any salary gains that you may make. Lifestyle creep is particularly costly when it starts to impact on your big spending decisions, such as the house that you live in, the car that you drive and how often you upgrade it, the holidays you take and how often you take those holidays, and whether or not you send your child to private school. No matter what you earn and no matter what your spending priorities are, aim to live below your means and have a plan for saving for the future. Number 2 is celebrating what you have. It can be much easier to live below your means if you decide on and celebrate what is enough for you. Feeling of not having enough can be one of the biggest reasons why people are driven to overspend. And if you consistently move the goalposts on what you need, how can you ever be truly happy? It's emotions like dissatisfaction, envy, anxiety, and boredom that can lead us to make bad financial decisions in the moment. Those emotions can be triggered by various things. I know one thing that I have definitely found has impacted on me and some of my spending habits in the past has been what you see of other people's lives online. Comparison syndrome can be really hard to avoid when you see people with better house, better cars, they're taking more holidays than you, they have more new clothes, they have nicer clothes. All that kind of stuff can sort of give you an impression that other people are living a far better life than you. I think it's really important to remember that when you look at other people's lives that they share on social media, this is very much a highlights reel, and they're not giving you the inside story behind that. They're not telling you what their wealth is, they're purely showing you the money they have spent, and you have no idea about the sacrifices and the stress and the debt that could be behind those actual images. Reprogramming your brain to not trying to keep up with the Joneses isn't easy, and it can be a lot easier to try and avoid the images that sort of trigger those negative emotions in you and maybe push you towards spending. So you could unfollow and mute accounts that particularly bring out those negative emotions in you. Now, this is not to say that you should never spend money just for the joy. Frugality is not about foregoing all the things that you want. It's about intentional spending, making a plan to be able to afford the things that really matter to you and not spending mindlessly. For example, mindlessly spending on things that give you a short, sharp dopamine hit, such as like new clothes that you didn't really need. That'll feel nice in the moment, but in the longer term, you'll have a lot of stuff that you don't really need and you'll have a lot less money. However, planning to spend money on things that will really enrich your life, say for example, travel or a family pet, that will bring you longer term happiness and satisfaction. And that's where spending money wisely is really priceless. Number 3, building wealth is boring. In my 20s, I very much had a live for now attitude, and my salary was so low that I felt it was pointless to even try to budget or to save. Today, I realised that building wealth, growing your investments and savings, is very much a long game. It's not going to happen overnight. Consistency is really key. The number one thing I did to change my financial situation was to start investing and saving consistently in places that gave me a decent rate of return. Now, a lot of people are skeptical about investing, and I totally understand that. I was one of those people, and to be honest, I'm not a 100% confident investor, but I do understand that when I'm in investing for the long run, it is one of the best places for me to put my money if I want that pot of money to work harder for me and grow. For example, if you save $100 a month every month for 30 years, increasing that amount by just 1% every year, you could have $135,000 based on a 7% return. Putting that $100 or £100 away every single month will not be interesting. It won't be very exciting. Certainly not as exciting in the short term as it would have been to just spend it. And the amount that you have in savings will look unimpressive for a long time. It's not until you get to around 10 years when that interest rate starts to kick in and really start to compound your investment, the exciting things start to happen. It's the patience that's gonna pay off in the long run. Number 4, you've got to know what you owe. You should be really clear on what bills you need to cover every single month, including annual expenses. I'm currently in my very expensive month right now where all of my annual car expenses get renewed, and I'm currently worrying about whether my car is going to need any major repairs in order to pass its MOT. It's a very, very nerve-wracking time of year for me. Good news is that I can cover all of those expenses plus any unexpected ones because I've been putting money aside regularly to do so. If you're feeling around in the dark on these things and living on a tight budget, it's a recipe for disaster. If you know what you owe, then you can either make plans to cut back, make savings on your major bills, or you can try and find ways to increase your income either through career progression or by starting a side hustle. And once you know those figures that are predictable, you can then make a plan for how you will afford the unexpected. Because if there's one certainty in life, it's that the unexpected will occur. One of the best things I've done is to make a plan for my budget, but also plan for the plan to go wrong. So having kind of a backup plan to the plan. It's a lot of planning. But actually it's really simple. I just need to leave room for error. I need to have money set inside just in case. Next, be flexible. One thing I've learned from freelance work over these last 7 years is that flexibility is really key, both when it comes to my work and when it comes to budgeting. We're in a cost of living crisis, and even though the rate of inflation, how quickly prices are rising, has reduced, prices are still rising. Someone who's flexible will make lifestyle choices and changes in order to adapt to this situation. A flexible person recognizes that in order to weather the storm, they have to make changes, they have to give up certain things, they may have to make sacrifices in order to make it through unscathed. And that's really not easy, particularly when budgets are already tight and when you have a growing family to feed. When our financial pressures increase, we have to push back just as hard in order to avoid it dragging us into the red. Number 6, organize your stuff. If you know what you already have, then you will be less likely to buy more stuff. And that applies to almost everything in your home: food, clothes, DIY supplies, toys. Having a tidy house will make all of the difference to understanding what you already have and making use of it, getting every single bit of use out of it that you possibly can, getting that value for money. And by tidy, by the way, I don't necessarily mean Marie Kondo tidy. I think even Marie Kondo herself admitted that she couldn't keep up with her Kondo method after having kids. A really, really cluttered house is very difficult to navigate. You won't be able to take stock of what you have, which will lead to things like food going off or you buying duplicates for stuff that you already have. And the final money lesson is to immerse yourself in conversations about money. Just reading about and talking about money has made such a huge difference to my confidence and motivation when it comes to managing my money. And while we're on this subject, why not subscribe to this YouTube channel for lots more chat about making money and saving money? It's completely free. Now, of course, with your friendships, you're possibly not comfortable with swapping bank statements, but with things like newspaper columns about money, you can snoop at what other people's financial situation is like and what financial advisors are telling them to do. And you can pick up tons of tips here. It's an absolute goldmine of information. Read financial books. They're full of valuable tips and they're not all packed with jargon that's difficult to understand and boring to follow. As soon as you normalize thinking about money and talking about money with your partner and with your friends, you will just naturally feel more confident with your money and make better decisions. And having conversations about money in your household will improve your children's attitude and knowledge about money, which will have a knock-on effect to you eventually. And let me explain why. If your kids grow up in a household where you are talking about effective money management and they understand how to budget and you show them how to budget with their pocket money, they are going to grow up, hopefully, to be adults who are sensible with their money. And that means that you, the parent, hopefully never have to bail them out of a difficult situation. They become adults who have financial security. Thank you so much for watching. I am so glad that you stopped by. Why not leave in the comments one of your own favorite money lessons that you have learned that have helped you to balance your budget?